Have you ever stepped out of the shower, soaking wet, grabbed a towel, and in just a few seconds, you're dry again? It feels like magic, right? But think about it for a second. That towel doesn't have a fan. It doesn't generate heat. It doesn't magically suck the water off you. So how does a simple piece of fabric seem to defy gravity, physics, and surface tension to pull water away from your body? Today, we're going to uncover the secret science behind one of the most common items in your life, the towel. And by the end of this video, you'll never look at drying yourself the same way again. First off, let's clear up a huge misconception. When you dry yourself, the water isn't just disappearing. Your body is covered in a thin layer of tiny water droplets. These molecules cling to your skin because of something called surface tension. It's a weak force, but it's strong enough to make water stick to itself and to other surfaces, like your skin. What your towel does is a brilliant two-step process. First, it breaks the hold that water has on your skin. Then, it pulls that water into its own fibers. And both of these actions are pure physics at play. The main superpower of a towel is a scientific principle called capillary action. You've definitely seen this before, even if you didn't know its name. Think about a paper towel soaking up a spill, or water climbing up the stem of a plant. That's capillary action. It's what happens when a liquid moves through extremely narrow spaces, even against gravity. And here's the secret. Your towel isn't soft and fluffy just for show. If you look at it under a microscope, you'd see it's made of millions of tiny loops and fibers. The spaces between these fibers are incredibly small, so small that they act like tiny channels. Water molecules are literally pulled into these channels through molecular attraction. You see, water has a natural affinity for cotton fibers. So when your wet skin touches the towel, the water finds the towel's fibers much more attractive than your skin. It happily switches sides. Have you ever wondered why high-quality towels are so tightly woven and plush? It's not just about comfort. That fluffiness equals a massive surface area. More fluff means more tiny loops, which means more contact points with the water and more microscopic channels to store it. Each tiny fiber is like a miniature straw, drawing water inward. This is exactly why a thin, cheap cloth doesn't dry you very well. It just doesn't have enough of these tiny straws. It's also why old, worn-out towels lose their effectiveness. Over time, the fibers get matted down and compressed, which closes up those crucial capillary channels. Here, as a pro tip for you, ever notice how fabric softener can make your towels feel incredibly soft, but they don't seem to absorb as well? That's because the softener coats the fibers with a slippery, waxy layer. This film blocks the water from entering the capillary channels, making the towel less absorbent. So, a softer towel isn't always a better towel. Now, drying yourself isn't a passive activity. You don't just lay the towel on your skin and wait. You rub, and that rubbing action creates friction. Friction helps in two key ways. First, it physically disrupts the surface tension, breaking up those little water droplets clinging to your skin and making them easier to lift away. Second, it helps force the water deeper into the towel's fiber network, giving that capillary action a big boost and speeding up the whole process. This is why gently patting your skin is effective, but rubbing is usually faster. Although, a quick note from dermatologists, patting is generally better for preserving your skin's natural barrier. So now you know. Every time you dry off, you're conducting a fascinating physics experiment right there in your bathroom. But you might be thinking, wait a minute, water evaporates naturally. Why do we even need towels? That's a great question. Water evaporation depends on a few things: temperature, air movement, and humidity. When you're in a warm, steamy bathroom right after a shower, the air is already saturated with moisture. The humidity is high, which means evaporation slows down to a crawl. If you just stood there, the water would sit on your skin for a long, long time. Towels simply speed everything up by physically moving the water, instead of waiting for it to turn into vapor. It's faster, it's more efficient, and it stops you from getting cold while you wait. Let us imagine for a moment that we could zoom in 1,000 times while you re-drying off. What would we see? We'd witness a dramatic scene, tiny droplets of water breaking apart on your skin. We'd see water molecules being snatched away and pulled into the towel's fibers. We'd see liquid racing upwards through the threads, defying gravity. And we'd see your skin's surface transform from a glossy, wet sheen to a smooth, matte finish. It's not one big act of absorption, it's millions of tiny transfers all happening at once. Your towel is essentially a massive, intricate water transport network cleverly disguised as a piece of bathroom linen. It's also a common myth that all towels are created equal. Different materials work in different ways. Traditional cotton towels are fantastic because cotton fibers are naturally hydrophilic, which is a fancy way of saying they love water. They attract it on a molecular level. Microfiber towels, on the other hand, use a slightly different set of tricks. They rely on static electricity to attract water, plus their fibers are packed incredibly densely, creating an even larger surface area for mechanical trapping. This is why microfiber towels often feel different on the skin and can dry incredibly quickly. And have you ever noticed how hotel towels often feel like the most luxurious, effective towels you've ever used? That's by design. They're typically made with a very high loop density. This maximizes both the surface area and the number of capillary channels, making them exceptionally good at their job. So, the next time you step out of the shower and reach for that towel, remember what's really happening. You're not just drying your body. You are witnessing a beautiful symphony of science. You're seeing capillary action, surface tension, molecular attraction, and friction all working together, silently, instantly, and flawlessly. That's science, hiding in plain sight. If you enjoy discovering the hidden physics in your everyday life, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Let us know in the comments what everyday object you think we should break down next, because the world is full of invisible science, and now you know where to look. Thanks for watching.